Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, on our agenda, we have several names that, were to appear, Emergency Preparedness Committee. I don't believe that person's here.
We,
Are you on Zoom?
the Wolfgang was going to attend my Zoom. I don't know if that's her up there.
Hi, could you give your name and,
She unmuted?
Glad to be a part of the disaster preparedness committee.
Yeah.
oh, good, okay, thank you. And your name is what again, please?
Deb Wolf, well, right. I hear that.
She's not one
Okay,
of the applicants. It doesn't look like we have any of the applicants
Okay,
here to
all right.
attend.
okay,
I
thank
thought you
you.
said her name was
It's-
Jan Wolfson.
Oh, she did say
I
her
think
name,
so.
yeah, I
Yeah,
heard
I think
it.
so.
I'm sorry, my
It was
apologies.
kind of broken up.
Are you Miss Wolfgang?
Pardon me, so my name is Deb Wolf, W-O-L.
Okay,
Well, good.
Thank you, great.
Emergency preparedness, right? Thank you. Could you, welcome to you. We appreciate your interest in our committee. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I just moved here in October from Arizona. I am a Red Cross volunteer. So I've done fire disaster preparedness. Moved here, moved up to View of the Bay. So I'm up there on the hill and have met some really dynamic folks up there that we are interested in disaster preparedness. I went to the Lincoln County presentation.
Wonderful.
Really good.
We lost the.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I'm sorry.
I'm in Silverton right now, so that's why we may be having a great horrible connection. Anyway, so disaster preparedness is kind of my gig since I retired from teaching, and in Depot Bay, and hoping I can offer something. And I reached out to American Red Cross, the disaster preparedness manager for this area, just to be sure that I kind of fulfill that role, letting them know what we're doing on the disaster preparedness committee here.
Maybe she could turn off her video, see if we could get.
Trying to see.
Could you possibly turn off your video? We're having trouble hearing you. Maybe we could hear you better without the video. Could you try that? Okay, great. Can you speak to us now?
Sure, can you hear me any better?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great, thank you. Okay, so
Sounding
we haven't heard a lot. Do you mind just repeating some of what you were saying?
Oh, I heard enough.
Just go ahead.
Okay. Are there any other questions for her?
And so what did the Red Cross person, when you contacted them, say?
Mara Rouse, so I let her know that, because I am volunteering with them here on the coast, and let her know that I was looking at coming to this meeting on. She was excited to know that then there would be that kind of interconnected between American Red Cross and Depot Bay. Actually, she made the comment that, oh, gee, once we nail this down, we ought to do this all the way up the coast. So it's kind of a thing. I think it's a good idea. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we have a ballot in front of us. Would you please follow the directions and pass the ballot to Sutter?
Pass them around.
Every once in a while I get this jolt, it like wakes me up at this.
Sorry, I have a ballot.
I can't remember you anymore.
Yeah. Here we go.
We don't want maybe.
Whatever needs to be done. Get the nerves.
6 yeses.
Okay, we have, 6 yeses, so welcome to the Emergency Preparedness
Okay.
Committee. Oh, sorry.
Slate of candidates?
I move that we, do you hear a motion to approve this candidate?
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. Motion has carried. And so, everybody that would like to say aye, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, no opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for your interest, and we will be in touch with you to let you know when the next meeting is going to be. We typically meet once a month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so we have the Houseless Advisory Committee appointee, Lisa Richards. Would you like to come up and sign in?
So Ken Flowers not here?
No.
We'll check and make sure he's getting our emails. I'll give him a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I know he was really interested in
Okay.
joining, so there must be some.
Lisa, thank you for coming. So we appreciate your interest. Can you tell us why you're interested in this committee?
Well, I don't really have many qualifications other than I'm a willing, helpful, compassionate person.
Yeah.
And I like to give people hope and raise them up and know that there's a place for them to be a part of society. And I have 4 children of my own and a husband back there. And yeah, I just think that's a really great opportunity to serve in the homeless.
That's wonderful. I appreciate that. Any questions for Lisa?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question, Lisa. And, it just, oh, this doesn't sound dumb, but, I live right across from the community hall, and I think it was last year, a homeless fellow took up residence beneath the building. And, during the nights, he would have some kind of a problem, and he'd start screaming. I think it was, what they used to call the DTs, it was probably alcohol related, I'm not sure. But, this went on and on. What would you do in a situation like that? How would you handle something like that?
Well, I'm not qualified to handle the mentally ill, but I would hope that we have laws and stuff on our books that we could be able to assist him. I don't know, I don't know, that's a hard one.
I didn't mean to put you on the
No,
spot.
that's all right, it's good something to think about, but yeah, it's, when you think about why homelessness started, it was back in 1963 when they institutionalized people in mental health, mental health people, so, I feel it's important to, get them the help they need. But I don't know if that's how to.
I think that's a good answer.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Lisa.
She can do that,
Okay, right.
Okay,
as long as she.
I know.
Okay.
Yes, we can. Hopefully most of you are. Here's our audience.
So, what you got there?
Oh.
Valerie.
6 yeses. It's a secret.
I move we approve the appointment of Lisa Richards to the House Advisory Committee.
Yeah, you're a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate your interest in this.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
We're doing really well.
We're here to help.
We're like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
It's been a long meeting. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have number 7 on your agenda, Harbor Ordinance Amendment 335-23, second reading. And so this is the second reading for this amendment by title only. Can I have a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Just please go ahead and read the title one more time.
I'm sorry?
Read the title of the ordinance one more
The
time.
title is 335-23 Harbor Ordinance Amendment.
Pardon me, the actual ordinance amendment, or would you like me to read that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is for an ordinance amending ordinance number 252, the City of Eagle Bay Harbor Ordinance, revising definition of moorage and declaring an emergency.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 335-23.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a first and a second. Those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
So it was my motion and then Autumn second.
Right. So we have under new business, we have capital improvement request, playground equipment. So in your package, you should have information about this. This looks really pretty cute. We do have an additional charge for things we were not aware of when we first approved this, totaling $160. It's for like mailing and things of that nature. That's an additional charge. So we have to approve that additional $160 as well. So do I have a motion to approve this? The whole motion? Okay. Do I have a second? Second? All right, okay. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries, thank you.
Pardon me, I'm not sure I'm hearing Counselor Beasley.
You said aye.
Did he? Thank you, thank you.
Sorry.
How can you turn down the playground? No.
Well, I'm sure he did, but I just,
the playground vote?
but I didn't hear.
That we was.
Okay, so now we have number 2, under new business for reimbursement for LUBA, Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals, 2022 to 2023. So Kit, could you please review your staff report on this matter and provide any updates you might have received?
Certainly. So I think as the council is aware, I think we had sent an email, so we learned of it. The LUBA dismissed the appeal related to Bigfoot Beach House because the petition was not filed timely according to the Oregon administrative records that govern that whole process. So there is a provision in the administrative records that does allow for the recovery of some costs by various parties to such an action. And Councilor Rex had suggested pursuing recovery of those funds. So the staff report lays those out. Basically, there's a $300 application fee that the petitioner would have paid that can be forfeited to the respondent, which is the city in this case. There's also, in some instances, the ability to claim up to $200 for copying expenses. That doesn't apply in this case because all of the records are provided in electronic form. And then the third thing that we thought might be a possibility was the recovery of legal fees or attorney fees under a different provision of the Oregon administrative records. However, and we contacted the city attorney's office to try to get clarification of these issues while this report was being prepared, but unfortunately didn't get a response before we had to get this out the door. So we subsequently learned from the city attorney that we're, in this circumstance, we're not eligible for the attorney fees because of the unique circumstances of the dismissal. And as I mentioned, we're not eligible to recover copying fees. And although we've tried to minimize the use of staff time and city attorney time in preparing this, we believe at this point we've probably already spent more than $300 that we would potentially recover if we pursued it. And we would continue to incur additional costs because we have to provide serve notice on all the affected parties, and that's generally by certified mail or something like that. So in effect, we don't recommend pursuing this any further because we don't see the value of continuing to spend money to collect $300.
So having said, do I have a motion to proceed?
And I have a
I'm
question.
sorry.
What about other cases? How do we handle other cases? Where appeals are made? There is like, for example, a filing fee, right? Of several $1,000s or $1,500 or something.
Are you speaking of Luba appeals or other types of appeals?
Well, I'm not really sure. When somebody files an appeal of a city decision, they file with the city. Initially, there is an appeal to the city.
Yes.
And that,
And there is when there's a appeal to either of the planning, of the city planning decision, the planning commission or the planning commission decision to the city council, there is a fee and a deposit that are collected from the appellant in those cases, and those total $2,001 based on the current fee schedule. And but the deposit portion of that amount, and I apologize, I don't recall exactly what the breakdown is between the two. I want to say the deposit is 500 of that. The deposit is used to bill direct expenses for the processing of the appeal. So in particular, things like postage for mailing out notices, the cost of publishing notices in the newspaper, because there's a cost involved with having those legal notices published. The city planner's staff time is charged against that. And then if whenever that appeal process is done, if there's a balance remaining from the deposit portion of the appeal fee, quote unquote, that's refunded to the appellant. If there isn't, there's sometimes be an instance where we actually would bill somebody for additional funds if they cost exceeds the deposit. But that's the city's process for and fee schedule for appeals. Luba has its own fee schedule that they establish, and my understanding is that the fee that has to be filed when one submits a notice of intent to appeal, which is what was filed back in January, is $300. And so but there are provisions, as I mentioned, in the administrative regulations where a situation such as this, where an appeal, a notice of intent is filed, but then no petition is filed subsequent to that, where the Luba can basically direct that those fees be forfeited to the respondent, which in this case is the city. But again, for the reasons I've already articulated, I think we've already spent probably well in excess of $300 talking about this.
so, in reading this report, it says the county, I don't know of many appeals that I can think of off the top of my head, only 2 of them. And I sent letters in on both of them. One was this case, and the other was Councilor Rex, or Citizen Rex appeal on that other project down there. Did we pursue recoverable costs on that appeal?
I believe in the other Luba case, the city did not prevail. The decision was substantially in favor of the petitioner in that case.
So
it was not appropriate or available for the city to recover fees.
okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
We don't have a motion on the table, do we?
No. Would you like to make one?
Yeah, I also have a comment, but I should make a motion first. So I don't think we need to take any action. So my comment would be that I think because the city incurred all these fees in the name of $1,838 essentially, plus all the planning time, I don't think we have a chance in hell, but I think we should probably bill the appellant who just essentially had the city do all the work and then dropped it without taking any action. So the city incurred probably at least $2,200 is my guess, or at least just the attorney's time, and I think we should bill the appellant for the attorney services and planning time. I mean, it's crazy that if he was gonna drop the appeal, he wouldn't have done it earlier before the city incurred both planner time and attorney time. So I guess my motion would be a different one than this, would be to send a bill to the appellant to try to recover the attorney costs of this.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that, yeah.
Okay, I have a first and a second.
Pardon me, I'm sorry, we should really consult with legal on that because we don't have a provision necessarily to go after more than what we've already billed him for. Unless, of course, we end up with additional, so we need to find out whether or not
Okay,
that is
Well,
something.
my motion then would be amended to say, provided that that we are able to recover the attorney fees and the planner costs for work on this appeal that was never followed through by the appellant, that we would charge those fees. Would you accept that?
Yes.
So it's been first and seconded, any further discussion? Okay,
I have some discussion on this. Well, I'm not for frivolous appeals, I'm not. But I'm also opposed to making it financially impossible for people to appeal things. To me, it's just it is an astonishingly steep hill to climb financially, just to file an appeal. And when you feel like you're wronged or aggrieved, you should be able to do that. The other thing I would say is that the city is driving its own legal costs. I don't wanna, parse this thing out, but we're in charge of our own fate when it comes to the legal bills. That's the way I feel about that.
alrighty, Ms. Lindsay.
Could I ask, what was the fee that was paid to the city to do the appeal? Is there any fee at all to the city? It's just to Luba?
For the Luba appeal or for the appeal to the council? There was a fee paid for the appeal of the planning commission's decision to the council that had came to the city.
Right.
There was no fee paid to the city related to the Luba appeal.
So we have a motion on the table and it's been seconded, and we've had discussion. For those who are in favor, say aye.
What's the motion, please?
The one that, Ray, did you make a motion?
Yeah, I did. Essentially, it was if the attorney says we can, then we should try to recover attorney fees and planner fees for the Luba grant appeal.
Okay, and then Autumn seconded. So I have a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Nay. Okay, any further discussion? Motion carries.
And we can report back to the council on what the city attorney advises on that.
Alrighty, city staff reports. Project updates. Brady, do you have some information for us?
Just that it's in writing.
Yes.
We-
Do you have
Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, does anybody want to discuss anything on there?
So- I do. 35 Cricket Avenue, it looks like you want our direction to have city attorney pursue legal action.
Yeah, we already declared it a nuisance, but we were giving the property owner some time to get the junk out of some of the vehicles so they can be towed off. That is, yes, we've only done one vehicle, the hasn't even been attempt to clean the other vehicles out. And there's still 6 left that I
Is it really in front of the attorney though? Shouldn't we just call the sheriff and get them to act?
The attorney, so what I'm asking for is the next step would be going to court.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking for, just making sure that the council is concurrent with that, because there's been no action, no communication, and you didn't give the extension. The next step in this is telling him to file the court.
Can we make a decision tonight?
Yeah, you can just give me council concurrence.
Okay.
You've already said you wanted the process followed, just wanna,
Verify,
yes,
yes.
let's go.
Yeah, so we'll just, yeah.
Yes,
So that's the next step, rather than having the sheriff file like a order for her to get rid of things? We've already done that?
He can't. That has to come from the court before the sheriff is going to be able to act on it. It's the same thing we did with the billboard property.
Yeah, okay.
It's a process.
Okay, so do I need a motion to do that?
No, I don't think so. I feel like I just wanted your blessing, which you kind of already gave. I just want to make sure everybody knows
You,
this.
yay or nay?
No, just
Okay,
head nods is
all
fine.
right, that sounds good, thank you.
I do have an update on across the billboard lot we're speaking at. It has been cleaned up. They removed,
Yes.
one of the largest dumpsters of debris out of there. Yeah, and took every bit of what was there. They're possibly gonna put a fence in, but I have not heard if that is going to be done. But a cyclone fence with the side obstruction would be great. They should probably brush cut in there also, we're hoping, but I have maybe need to communicate a little bit more.
I wonder if you communicated with him, you would ask if that they would reimburse us for the actual placement of cement barriers until they get a fence up. It's just gonna be repopulated, and I don't know if we have any hanging around, but if we do,
We may have some, we can't purchase them, they're about $100 a piece. And we just picked them up at the concrete yard in No Man's Land in the city, there were Morris's. They sell those barriers.
so what do people think about that? If the property owner would reimburse us for the costs and for the city time, it'd be really good to be proactive, because it's just gonna
It's
be,
good, you're
I
right.
think it would be really in his property owner's interest to have you do something.
I have contact with the representative of the property owner. That's who I've been talking to. So
Yeah, we can reach out.
I can ask her
That would be
to
good.
pass it on.
And if not,
Can we get an
then,
estimate of how many we're talking about putting down?
Yeah, we'll try to measure off, so we can make sure a vehicle doesn't get through and then maybe I'll post it, no trespassing.
can you do that without showing back to us, or do you need?
Possibly, yeah.
Right.
It's under now.
The planner made a comment that they still need to have access to get to the billboard. So we have to think about that.
Yeah, exactly. He's right.
The property owner.
Okay,
well, I think then we,
Change it.
yeah, I don't know, they don't change it very frequently. So, I don't know, but.
They still need to be able to have access to their property.
Yeah, they had it, yeah, that's true. Did you hear what, Autumn said?
The people camping are further back than the billboard, so they could still get.
Yeah, that right behind the building, they usually don't access that to get to the billboard, it's the frontage, so, but communicating with them may be an option and find out.
okay, thank you, Brady, anything else?
No, everything else is on there. If there's any questions with the projects, we're doing the taps tomorrow for, the fire hydrants. The guy's coming tomorrow, it was supposed to be today, but they rescheduled. So that would be a brand new hydrant in Morocco that, where the house burned down, they requested a new hydrant, the fire chief did. And then, there's a new one going in on Solex, which is up on North Point, replacing a really old hydrant.
You had a question?
I'm sorry, I have a couple questions. I wanted to ask about the Vista parking.
Yeah,
Is that just right in front of like the trail access?
so, no, the Vista parking is a parking lot that we're going to,
By Pirate
start.
Cove?
It's behind
Okay.
Pirate Coffee,
Okay.
and then there's a pump station, and behind the pump station is the city lot.
Okay.
And there's one big tree there that, spruce, we're gonna leave it.
Okay.
And then Spectrum, Charter, we're spending a lot of time following them around, making sure they don't hit our water mains and sewer.
It's really nice.
So it's been a lot of babysitting.
Are they gonna turn up Lane Street and then go down Williams?
Yes, they're heading down Williams now, they're gonna do Lane Street under, or under the highway, and then go up Lane, to Williams, and then another area of Bledson. But we're trying to stay in front of them a week with locates, so we can locate when the mooring crew comes in. But we did actually get them approved, no Fridays or weekends.
Oh.
And they may ask for an email from me, requesting that if they hire, a firm to locate water lines and sewer lines that we can't find by an outside company, that they're not liable if they did something. But I need to maybe put that to our legal, like maybe ask Steve about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I take it to council, but right now we're doing locates.
Fran?
Yeah, so that's my question, that they're required to do locates before they dig. Why are we doing it?
So we have to mark our water and sewer lines, it's a law, it's an Oregon call before you dig law. But the problem with our locates is, back in the day, like probably before the mid-90s, the water lines were in sewer, well, sewer's pretty easy because you can line up manholes, but water lines are put in without tracer wire and proper as-bills like Little Oak Cove, is totally unknown in there.
We're the,
Water
we're the
lines.
call before you dig people for water and sewer.
And there's no.
But when they get to Little
reimbursement.
Oak Cove, they may need, so we're okay through the whole town, other than Little Oak Cove, that's where the big problem's gonna be. Because everything in Little Oak Cove, there's no accurate as-bills. There's maps that say water's here and there, none of them are accurate.
And I have an update on that. In fact, I need to talk to Brady, I haven't had a chance to talk to you yet. We need to walk the Oregon Trail at Little Oak Cove because we had a complaint today that there was cabling left behind and a woman got herself cut off.
Yeah, I talked to Spectre.
Okay. So,
Any other questions for Brady? Okay.
I do have a quick update on this, that big old hole in the city park.
Yeah.
That was filled. Apparently, from what our guy said, somebody dug it out and they think they threw the dirt into the creek. So we don't know what happened, why it was dug out, but it's since been filled, right?
How big was that hole?
That's how big it was.
Yeah,
There's a
it was
picture of
pretty
it,
big,
it's
there's a.
huge.
It looks huge, doesn't it?
This is the one in the tree roots?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that big,
Oh,
but it was.
It
huge.
was 4 by 4 by 4 feet, 4 feet around, maybe in a circumference, 4.5, and almost 5 feet deep, but all the spoil was thrown into the creek when they dug it. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to compliment your crew for cleaning up the interpreter signs. They look
Oh, yeah.
great.
Yeah.
They removed the plexi that was so bad into the acrylic plexiglass, so they look really good, yeah.
They do. And I have one more, that if we have the scan, we should put that back up.
Okay, yeah, we do, I think there's a stand in the barn, I'll have to
Okay,
check
I'll
it. There was.
get it to you.
I wonder if we could put a sign down at the park that says under surveillance or something, just to scare people from doing graffiti. No,
Oh,
graffiti.
Oh, yeah, we do have, I do have surveillance cameras, but not in the playground. We have them around the parking lot, fish cleaning station, in the boat launch, but not in the playground area. We don't have cameras there. But we can put surveillance signs.
Yeah.
I think that would help.
Or say, and also say that, certain things are prohibited and cite some sort of ORS.
Offensive.
Yeah, we do have,
Yeah.
we do have an ordinance and a fine for vandalism. There is a sign down there for that, but it might need to be maybe another one made and possibly go. Because it's like a fine of $500 a day for graffiti vandalism. But we may need to look at our ordinance and maybe up that, bring it up to date.
Just one final thing, I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page of that, because Councilor Beasley asked me to kind of update about this for the audit. So I wanna make sure that I told you everything, so you interrupt me making sure I told you everything. We applied for the electric vehicle grant. The county administrator said that they had discussed this at the county board of commissioners and decided that they really were worried about Depot Bay and about us getting our audits done So they weren't gonna give us that grant since we can get that real easy through other sources. So what they're doing is they're giving us that $10,000 in there that I mentioned. So I thought I maybe told you guys about not getting the grant, but I apologize if I didn't tell you. But that's what this money is for, and he actually told me that if we needed it, they might even go up to 20,000, but usually they're gonna do that. I do have somebody that's gonna start working on this, which I know here. So, one thing I did find out is that the disclaimer that I've been worried about, that I thought would impact our ability to get loans in the future, is not that deal. He explained to me that the issue is that it's more of a cover your behind for the Eisler. So I've asked them, I am having a hard time getting a hold of Eisler, but I've asked them to let's finish 1920 and we're ready to move on to 2021.
Great.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Chair, may I add something?
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Recorder, for doing that, and I know that it may be uncomfortable for you to constantly bring this up on the audits, but I just feel that we have to approach this with the same vigor that we approach the birthday or anything else. Because in my research on ORS 297, which we're in violation of, I discovered that every year the Secretary of State sends to the state legislature a list of delinquent entities, and Depot Bay is atop that list. And it's this recognition of our chaotic financials that is hobbling our ability to get these wonderful grants. And again, here's another example tonight. So that's the only reason I bring this stuff up, is to keep the fire lit under this so that we have a plan. And by the way, ORS 297 requires that we have a plan, a written plan submitted to the Secretary of State on how we're gonna fix this situation. I've never seen a written plan on this. Anyway, thank you, Chair, appreciate it.
Okay. Any other comments, Kim? Okay, right. So if you look at your agenda, you see vacations, rental contracts. On 135 Southwest Crescent Street. Have you had a chance to look at this information? Okay. Kent, do you have anything to add? Any new information?
No, I would only add that we did verify receipt of the letters by the property owner. They have not responded. And I checked today, it was still up there, Airbnb, but it's still active.
Okay, and so that's something you're continuing.
So we'll continue to monitor, and
Okay.
if you're not moving in the next few weeks, we'll send another letter.
All right, sounds really good. Okay, so we've got closing comments. Lindsay, would you like to start?
I don't have this tonight.
Okay. Autumn?
Okay.
Fran?
Yeah, in regards to vacation rentals, I talked to a friend of mine who's willing to work with me as a volunteer to go through the Granicus listings, get the map from Kit, GIS map of where they're allowed, and then go through the Granicus listings in a systematic way and identify all the properties that aren't in, so we can do, instead of being complaint driven by having people have to, one by one find them, just kind of look at what we get from Granicus and find it. So, with the council's permission, I'd like to bring this volunteer in and to help us do that.
Great.
Yeah.
And I'll help her too. I've been meaning to, but I just can't find the time, so this would be great if you don't mind.
Sounds good, all right.
Yeah.
I'm for that, Frank.
I have no comments. Valerie?
Just to add on to what Fran was saying, thank you for volunteering to do that. I think it's a great idea. And I hope the council will be open at some point to considering a new kind of licensing arrangement for vacation rentals. And I thought a lot about what I said at the last meeting. About the fact that, we can penalize these people right out of business, right off the planet of the earth, probably take their mortgage from them, if the fines were big enough. And I don't think we should do that. The county has basically eliminated vacation rentals. And it presents, I think, a huge opportunity for this cash-strapped city to approach this in a way that we could perhaps license some of these existing non-compliant rentals. I don't know if this is would take a vote for the people or what, but it just seems to me that we have to consider it given our budgetary limitations and lack of revenues from other sources. I think it would be a very debatable item. I'd love to talk about it with everybody sometime. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other comments? Okay, meeting adjourned, thank you.